morning and a warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Road in Colombo. And joining me this wet morning is Bandula Jayasekara, the very senior journalist and former diplomat. Very good morning to you,
Not
Bandula.
very senior, good morning for us, not very senior as you are.
Well, mature then.
Yeah.
And also joining us this morning is Mr. Kasun Chandraratna, the founder of the Foundation for Civilian Bravery. And very good morning.
Very good.
And how are you today, sir?
Very good. Very fine.
Well, tell me about this Foundation for Civilian Bravery.
Civilian Bravery Foundation is to recognize and reward civilians
Right,
who risk their lives
right,
to save another's life at risk
right.
voluntarily. All these three conditions are very integral part of the definition.
Right.
And of course, I need not argue with you that these people will be from the common masses, because generally you won't expect a very educated person or a very rich person to come forward to risk your life for another, simply because they will think that that is a vocation that they must run for safety.
I see. That's an interesting thought there. Are there any awards for, now you say this is for civilian bravery, but how about awards for the media who champion financial losses, abuse of power, accountability issues, nepotism, corruption, and my God, the list goes on.
Yes.
Are there any awards for us?
There is an award for media, but not to meet exactly what you said.
Right.
But what we project is that civilian bravery is the apex of bravery, meaning a person risk his life for another.
Yeah.
Because if you save my life, what is worth for you the most valuable thing to you on this earth is your life.
Yeah.
Mine, my life.
Right.
So these two meets at this point of saving somebody's life according to our definition.
I see.
So we say it is the apex of bravery.
I
Apex
see.
of bravery. So anyone who supports this need to be the person who saves, he is the hero, and anybody supports also to be recognized.
But the media also, like Farah said, we are, risking our lives to save the lives and, finances of this country.
Two ways you will come in. One, you will directly save somebody if you can establish that because you have saved another or mass, yes, then the gold medal for civilian bravery can be awarded. The other option is there is a award, that's an award, the other one is a medal, where media supports for the promotion of civilian bravery.
You might get that.
No, I haven't done anything. However, as you may already know, Mr. Chandraratna, this network has not. There is no acknowledgement from anyone. However, somebody far more important and with a worldwide reputation has in fact acknowledged part of what we do. Capital Maharaj's media networks, Shakti, Sirasa and MTV, Newsfirst, have been recognized by the United Nations for our humanitarian assistance. It's in this group, we don't call it CSR, we call it life. And so we're very proud that Shaban Daniel represented this group in Geneva at the invitation of the UN. That's a form of bravery too.
Yeah, it's congratulations, and we try to confine our definition. I will give an example. Now there is a person who gives a rope to another person to go down a well and to save somebody. We are very clear on this point. We won't recognize the person who gave the rope, but we will recognize the person who went down and really actually saved person.
Thank you. And this morning, the news is Colombo, Sri Lanka, is has awoken to this news that the Colombo Municipal Council is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Very well done. Very well done for that. However, the cost is absolutely astronomical. It's all about money. I keep going back to money, don't I, Bandula? 200 million rupees is being spent. And they say that it's the corporate sector that is spending this money. Wouldn't it have been better, Bandula, to have taken this money and put it towards addressing the housing problem?
Housing, I agree with you. There's so much of homeless,
Exactly.
the poor people. That's what, and they are also going to issue a coin, silver coin.
Yes, it's 8,000 rupees. A silver coin to mark the 150th anniversary. Couldn't a small little plaque like this thing on our table here, which will probably cost 500 rupees, couldn't that have been?
Yeah, but also, like we have to, you must let the taxpayers or the masses decide that we should recognize them or not, that they should not decide that they should be recognized.
Do you know what the thoughts are from our dear His Worship the Mayor, A.J. Muzammil? What does he have?
We should check with him. I'm sure he's thinking of the next elections, whether he'll get nominations or not. I'm sure
Aren't there
those are his
rules to preclude all this sort of thing?
That's why you have given a start. We should go ahead with this now.
We should indeed. There is also, still keeping on and ratting on about money, we have another issue, which is that the parliamentary sittings are costing taxpayers, and wait for it, folks, because, clear it all out, turn the radio down, and listen to this. Turn the TV up. Parliamentary sittings cost the taxpayers 4.6 million rupees each day. That's absolutely phenomenal. Think of what we can do in terms of housing, in terms of poverty alleviation, education, and
the transport system for us. And then they get a very good cheap meal. All the meals are
all
special meals, subsidized. For what?
Why is it subsidized then?
Because they are serving the people, right? So they need to be well fed, I guess. That must be the reason.
But they're also feeding themselves in bank accounts in Dubai, we are told.
And many other countries.
Indeed. Not to put too much of a fine point on it, it's not all doom and gloom. Today, the cricketing fraternity in Sri Lanka welcomes the arrival of the world's greatest all-rounder cricketers ever produced, none other than Gary Sobers, or more formally now known as Sir Garfield Sobers. And he's arrived in Sri Lanka to watch the second test. We do hope that he'll find time to come on our network. It's wonderful to have.
And also, it's great to see our legend, Michael Tissera.
Indeed, and Michael Tissera is also welcoming Sir Gary Sobers to this country.
And for us, they're playing for the Sobers Tissera Trophy, the match between West Indies and Sri Lanka.
It's excellent. I don't think the cricketing fraternity will ever forget the 365 not out that Gary Sobers scored, and that record was held for a very, very long time. And I'm told, by the way, Bambla, that the 365, he made it on the second day. So after a whole day's batting on the first day, they went out. They went for a night out.
Yeah.
They returned pretty early in the morning. Not enough time to sleep, but enough time for a round of golf. And then he came back, and in one of these books he says that by the time the second day came, he could see the ball as big as a football. So, maybe the secret of making a big score is not having any sleep and a round of golf, just to help. But it's nice, and this network would love to have Sir Gary Sobers on
and the great Michael Tissera, who went to school by the sea.
Indeed. Now, our dear Prime Minister has made a very interesting statement in Parliament on the avant-garde matter. Prime Minister maintains that none of these weapons were licensed by the Sri Lankan Ministry of Defence, and that they all had licenses issued, or what they call end-user certificates issued by other governments. Well, that's all fine. But really, I'd like to pose, dear Prime Minister, one question, and only one. And if the legal fraternity is listening, please listen up. Did or did they not, Avant-Garde, violate the firearms ordinance of this country? It's a very simple question. We don't want to know about money laundering or anything else when the source of the problem, the beginning, is where we should begin with, and that is that it appears to be the right question to pose. Did Avant-Garde violate the provisions of the firearms ordinance? If they answer that, we can carry on with everything else. And that is the main point.
And you have a lawyer seated next to you.
Indeed. What I want to ask you, Mr. Ratney, is this. There is an agreement between a government company, government-owned company, and a private company to do various things.
Ammunition.
Yes, it's ammunition, training, and so on. To begin with, this contract was never done transparently. But as Lasantha Wickramatunge would have said, be that as it may, let's deal with this other issue. There are various provisions that both parties have to fulfill. One such provision is that the government of Sri Lanka, through its company, Rakna Raksha, had to pay 50% of all expenses. Not local only, not international only, I mean all expenses. 50%, right? Now, in exchange for all this agreement, Avant-Garde was supposed to keep a track of these weapons, and our dear Prime Minister tells us that the Ministry of Defence is not in possession of the document that was given to anchor the floating armoury at the Gulf. This is all ridiculous. On the basis that one party has been in effect in breach of this contract, A, by not having proper accounting, B, by not paying the monies due to the government, it's about 1.6 billion, plus or minus 10 or 15%, okay? But the fact is there are breaches. Isn't it enough just to pull the handbrake, if not to cancel the agreement?
It is not so, because if it is potatoes, perhaps we might take we might relax for the time being. But this involves weapons, and it should involve the security of this country and security of other countries as well.
Absolutely.
So therefore, I think there must be an immediate inquiry and very what can be recommended is it should be a military inquiry. Of course, this might reveal some sensitive information. Therefore, the inquiry must be held as far as practically possible, confidentially. But a serious inquiry must be held, and I suppose a military inquiry is the best.
You know, my problem really, Banjula, is that in this Prime Minister's statement, what I detect is an attempt to shift the focus of inquiry from a violation of the, which is like a criminal violation, which is the violation of the firearms ordinance, and to shift this away to something called money laundering. And the Prime Minister says the Attorney General didn't say cancel the thing, the inquiry, didn't say XYZ, and that the Bribery Commission is going to be investigating, and also the police in terms of the Money Laundering Act. Well, what about the most serious offence, which is, like I keep saying, the issue of the firearms ordinance? And, you know, the Prime Minister is not addressing that. And again, just like the bond issue, where he's now said, oh, well, we're going to look into the bond of the last 10 years, which means that this one, which was done under his watch, is going to be shifted under the carpet.
Why are they doing this? Why do you think they're doing it?
Because they have absolutely no respect or regard for the public money. It is all a sham. when they get into Parliament, they change. They've got the votes and they've basically
But this is
giving
not
a
the
reverse
change for us
sign.
people.
It is
voted
not.
for.
It's absolutely not. Last night, I met a group of young people who wanted to know, who first acknowledged that they're watching our program, by the way, including your one, and they were aghast at the slowness of the legal process, because they too were taken in by this call that there was corruption, nepotism, lawlessness was rampant. So they voted for change. And now, having voted for change, they can't see that change.
Absolutely.
And that is absolutely disgraceful on the part of this government, led by Mr. Wickremesinghe, who is on his 4th term as Prime
But
Minister.
Kasun, as a lawyer, what do you think the problem? You think there are too many lawyers in the Parliament? Is that the problem?
I think they are trying to save each other. Because it's a mixed government, they have to save each other for their survival. Very simply, this is what I understand.
This young chap who's a IT specialist working for a company, a Sri Lankan company that runs all the London Stock Exchange. Now that's something. All the software in the London Stock Exchange run by this Sri Lankan company. Very proud to hear that. But this young chap, Buddhika, he said to me, he feels that all the politicians here, that this is like a fraternity. So they look after each other. And that apparently is what is going on. Because I detect a shifting of the focus when one fully analyzes the Prime Minister's statement in Parliament yesterday. And that is not acceptable.
Then for us, why have the FCID? Why have the Presidential Commission? Why do they don't need all these?
Exactly. It's all a sham then. It's all a sham. We had a case where the Supreme Court has ruled on this, so I'm sure I won't get into any trouble. We have a matter where the former chairman of the SEC and his assistant, having obtained approval to make a donation of money to promote the stock exchange, the board at the SEC approved it. That's fine. But then the former chairman and his assistant transferred the money to a third-party account overseas to pay for the services of a dance troupe from overseas to come over here. I fail to see the connection between the dance troupe and promoting the stock exchange, unless they were dancing to the tune of some stock exchange song, some jingle.
I remember Abbas Money Money, the
Yes,
song.
that's right.
That's the song.
But the thing is, Vandana, the FCID were precluded from going ahead on this matter because the man concerned had made an application to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has now given its order. I am still waiting for our news team to cover the event as to what the FCID are doing now. Now they've got no excuse. The Supreme Court has said, if you want to arrest him, you arrest him. You just go, you carry on with your investigation.
What's happening?
What is happening? Our director of news is very fond of asking, what is happening? And indeed, what is happening, Bandada? Well, why do you think, Mr. Chandraratna, there's such apathy towards respect for the law and towards the rules in this country?
Very difficult questions to answer. But I think one is the civilians.
Yeah.
They are in action.
Right.
Because our culture is that we are not a boisterous or very reactive society, but I think we have to bring it to the notice that they should act because it is their money that they are playing with, and also it is their future the public officers are playing with.
And Mr. Chandraratna, do you get the feeling sometimes that the politician thinks that the public are, for want of a better word, ignorant? Do you think that?
not more than they think.
Yeah.
They are convinced, I would say.
I love the choice of words. The reason I'm saying this, is because Sajid Premadasa made another startling revelation in Parliament yesterday about the irregularities that took place at the Ministry of Housing and Construction at the hands of the previous regime.
Right.
Of course, at the time, it was Vimal Weerawansa who was in charge of that ministry. Now, this Vimal, I've noticed him on television and so on, and you can't fail not to notice him because he makes so much of noise. But I'm reminded of a saying that my grandmother used to say. I think she said something like, empty vessels make the most noise or something.
Yeah, of course, the biggest noise.
The biggest noise. But in his case, he shouts as though he is whiter than white. And if one examines Sajid Premadasa's, the Honourable Sajid Premadasa's answers in Parliament, we will be shocked. Because there is a definite involvement of Mr. Weerawansa in matters concerning 7 houses. And yet Mr. Weerawansa continues to shout as though he's whiter than white.
Maybe, from red shirts he is wearing this white tunics, maybe that. But this is what's really wrong with the former comrades, so-called comrades. They change.
You see, Sajid Premadasa says yesterday, he gives a name and says that is the daughter-in-law of the former minister's elder sister, Isru. And he goes on to detail all these things. There is a close nexus. You can't get away from it. You simply can't get away from it. We had the same, this is rampant. And no wonder these young people at the last election, this million new voters, no wonder they voted these people in. But these people are not doing anything about it, are they?
They are not, and I don't think the ordinary people are carried, they have got carried away just because of Vimal Weerawansa's utterances.
This is astonishing. Can I read this?
Yeah, you should,
right?
yeah.
It says here, Heva Gi Ganagay Kumarasinghe is the daughter-in-law of the former minister's elder sister. Isiru Taranga Ranavira is the wife of the former minister's brother. Vasanta Rupasinghe is the sister-in-law of the former minister's wife. Priyanta Milinda Ratnaik, on a request made by the former First Lady, was appointed as media manager of the presidential unit and now serves as the media manager of Urban Development Authority. It is, this is, and then there's monies. There's 1.1 million paid by one, another paid by 7.4 million. There's substantial monies. And this man's going on about being whiter than white. Do you think he's convinced that the people are ignorant, that the people won't understand all this?
It appears that people are not concerned, or they think that they may be thinking the people are fools, or they are not being able to comprehend what is going on. But I think that it's a fault in the mechanism where public cannot decide the rulers they want. But now
well, that's right, they can't, because even people are being appointed on the national list. Having we voted them out,
yes,
they're being brought in.
So we are really helpless. Even
Indeed.
The constitution doesn't help us. So it should move towards a breakdown somewhere.
But Kasun, a lot of people believe wrongly that this corruption was only at the top. But it's really, you can't by say this Weerawansa's case. It shows how much what a lot of corruption.
Yes, everywhere the corruption exists because I believe there is a general consensus that you can get away with it. And also, mostly how it can be controlled is, it should be a part of your character.
But don't you think it's time, Kasun, to name and shame these people? It's time.
I think so.
I think so. It must be, I think, a full-page advertisement sort of thing where these
Indeed.
people, and also they are what you call, it's not a prescription, what do you say, citation.
And also with this public interest groups should stand up, like even though you are doing civilian bravery, these are the real heroes whom he is acknowledging. But this is the time we really should name and shame the politicians.
And I don't understand why. If the former confidant of the former president, Mahinda Rajapaksa's former confidant and man about town, and confidant, let's settle that confidant, Sajin Vaskunawardena, he was remanded on something to do with using 21 vehicles, which then turns out they were not state property anyway, or there's some contentious issue about that. Well, okay, let's leave that there. This thing about Vimal Veeravansa, what Sajid Premadasa has highlighted in Parliament, on this alone, he should be locked up.
And for us, we should ask our producer Kamal to invite Vimal Veeravansa here.
Indeed.
For both our programs, the Sinhala and the English program.
Absolutely. We could. I'd like to ask him about the saline that was connected to him during that infamous fast.
Yeah, also again, sometimes, second thoughts, you think it's this airtime worth it. He's taken so much of thing, I don't think the airtime is worth it.
That's right, because, it costs a lot to put this program out on air, and
we will not be able to stop him.
Yes, but the only thing is, I think our chairman's too committed to the public requirement, so money isn't the issue here. So if whatever it costs, we'll get Vimal here, come on, get him here, and we'll talk to him.
Yeah, because after all, we are the real opposition.
Indeed.
I think it's a very good idea.
Indeed. I hope that you will perhaps you'll permit us to invite you too when he's here.
Oh, sure.
And you can pose some legal questions to him.
And really cross-examine him.
Indeed, indeed. What do you think? Do you think this government will last the way things are going?
The best question for so many months, I suppose. What it appears, my immediate understanding is so many experts in this, there are no people to oppose,
right.
And as a result, I doubt whether they can go far, because there must be people to oppose you to succeed.
Don't you also think, Kasun, it's time for President Maithripala Sirisena to intervene, play a much proactive role and take control?
I think that now he has adapted the format of having enemy and the people who are supporting in the same team. I think that from my point of view, it's a wrong strategy. You must have your opponents as opponents so that they will give directions to proceed. Opponents are part of your team so that you are directed properly. When the opponents are also in your team as friends, I think they are disguised opponents, so you can crash at any time.
I'm tempted to have a blackboard of all the misdemeanors, but we'll talk about that another time, because unfortunately we've run out of time. So Mr. Chandraratna, thank you very much for being on our show today. We look forward to having you again. And Bandula, thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Do we have time? Yes, we probably have time. Difficulties mastered are opportunities won, from Winston Churchill. Thank you, have a good day, and do take care.